When you think of well-known rappers that have gone to prison in the middle of a successful career, or at the start of one, the first names that usually pop up are men. I mean, imagine how much bigger rappers like Slick Rick, Shine, Max B, Young Buck, Mystical, Turk, and Bobby Shmurda would have been if they hadn't had their lives severely interrupted by situations that led to serving long prison bids. Unfortunately, the ugly fate of being incarcerated has also had a negative impact on women in rap as well, although not as much. So much so that JT from the female rap duo City Girls launched a new initiative named No Bars Reform in order to help formerly incarcerated women have a chance at rehabilitating back into society. This is a cause that JT takes seriously because she had to deal with it directly after spending 2 years locked behind bars after being charged for credit card fraud, having to watch the momentum happen on the shoulders of her partner, Young Miami, while serving her sentence. JT's legal hardships began when she was arrested and convicted of aggravated identity theft on fraudulent credit card charges, and was sentenced to 24 months in federal prison. JT officially turned herself into the authorities on June 29, 2018, and her sentence began at FCI Tallahassee in July 2018, with a release slated for March 21, 2020. JT was transferred from FCI Tallahassee to a halfway house in Atlanta on October 8, 2020, and during her stay there, she was able to leave during the day to work and visit friends and family. Having firsthand knowledge of what it's like trying to rebuild your life after being locked up, JT's No Bars Reform will assist women that have suffered from incarceration being able to receive therapy to cope with their trauma, receive social services, and provide help with getting situated with housing and job placement. JT launched the nonprofit organization alongside the No Bars Freestyle on Thursday, July 13, 2023. JT described her inspiration for the No Bars Freestyle by saying, "No Bars is a freestyle I made in the studio when I was having one of those days. At the time, like most of the time, people were doubting me and questioning why I wasn't as visual and vocal as others. Not knowing me personally, I'd read the craziest things about myself and would want to scream, but instead I went to the studio and popped my stuff. I know most of y'all heard it, but for those who haven't, I hope this freestyle finds you in a great place and is a start of the respect I deserve in music. I love music, I love my voice." This move into social reform shows a deeper, more mature side of JT that hasn't been expressed in her music yet. After Fabulous had recently stated on Instagram that he wishes more women would share a wider range of stories and life experiences because it seems to him like only one hypersexualized image of female rappers has been promoted in the music industry. City Girls clearly fit in that box, with ratchet turn-up songs like Twerk, Act Up, and Take Yo Man. But before people are so quick to judge, JT grew up in a side of Miami that was a much darker picture than the sunshine 24-hour party image that most people have of Southern Florida. JT's version of Miami was gloomy project buildings and corner stores, as she's described by saying, "The struggle, the fast life, the stealing. Growing up around my mom and auntie, they were always talking to men for money. I've never seen my mom in a real relationship. I'm not trying to throw her under the bus, but my mama was always about her money. My auntie was always about her money. That's what I grew up around. That type of life, the stealing and hustling. That's where the influence comes from in the music. Besides growing up in the Slip and Slide Records era, when we had the raunchy music with Trick Daddy and Trina, that's all we really know." But their career could have been wiped completely off people's radar if Young Miami, the other half of the City Girls, hadn't been working hard to keep their name alive during the 2 years that her partner JT was held up in prison. Young Miami never gave up on JT during her stint, explaining those 2 years when she said, "JT went to jail and I used to have to beg the DJs to play our song. I used to be like, JT, we gotta rap for real. They were going up for our songs in the club and she'd be like, I'm in jail. I'm not thinking about no effing music. And I was like, JT, this is our way out. I think we should take this seriously." In fact, during the 2 years JT was in prison, Young Miami made a lot of newsworthy things happen that brought light to the City Girls, including dating rumors connecting her to Diddy, appearing in Drake's In My Feelings video, releasing the Point Blank Period documentary, putting out City Girls' debut album Girl Code, and surviving a targeted drive-by shooting that tagged up a red Mercedes G-Wagon truck with bullets while she was pregnant. What was it like for JT during her prison term? She described the experience by stating, "Prison, it gave me the sense of, edge that I got, but it did put a lot of fear in me, too. It put a lot of anxiety in me. It changed me. Completely. I used to be so outspoken, I didn't give a F what I said. And then when I got out, it went from being free to say what you want to say, to if you say the wrong thing, you on the shade room. If you say the wrong thing, they paint you as this person. So it's like I have to bottle up who I am to the world because they can't handle who I am. I found a sense of sisterhood in prison. I met so many girls who made me feel welcome, who made me feel at home. I made great friends in prison, to the point that some days I didn't feel like I was in prison. Alongside JT from City Girls overcoming the struggles of imprisonment, there are many other women in rap that face these challenges, balancing the real-life drama of losing their freedom and being a famous rapper at the same time. And another one of those is a much older rapper, Remy Ma. New York rapper Remy Ma has made a name for himself since being handpicked by the late Big Pun to become part of Fat Joe's Terror Squad crew. Remy Ma made the most of her opportunity with her own debut album, There's Something About Remy, based on a true story that dropped in 2006. Remy had respect as a heavyweight MC, but she also racked up some poppin' records while being a part of commercially strong songs like Whatever, Ante Up Remix, Lean Back, Conceited, and more recently, All the Way Up. Award-winning is a title that Remy Ma earned, winning 2 Vibe Awards, 2 Source Awards, and a BET Award for Best Female Hip-Hop Artist twice. And she also kept her face on television between 2015 to 2020 as a cast member on VH1's reality series Love and Hip Hop New York with her husband, New York rapper Papoose. But about a year after dropping her first album, Remy Ma had a life-altering experience. She was arrested for the shooting of Makeda Barnes-Joseph early in the morning outside the Pizza Bar, a Manhattan night spot on July 13, 2007. Later that day, Remy Ma turned herself into the New York City police in relation to that shooting incident. Police say that while she was with a group of people outside the Pizza Bar, a verbal confrontation took place at 4 a.m., and during the course of the conflict, a gunshot was fired into the torso of Makeda Barnes-Joseph that wounded her. The issue between Remy Ma and Makeda was that this woman was accused of stealing $3,000 from Remy Ma. Police sources indicate that Barnes-Joseph later identified Remy Ma as the shooter, and security footage from inside the venue didn't show any evidence of any altercations or arguments. She was later charged with witness tampering and assault after an August 2007 situation in which she was accused of having a few male friends attack a witness's boyfriend. But these charges didn't stick, and Remy ended up being acquitted of witness tampering and gang assault. While maintaining her innocence, on March 27, 2008, Remy was convicted of assault, illegal weapon possession, and attempted coercion in connection with these charges against her, and was taken into custody pending sentencing that was scheduled for May 13, 2008. At her sentencing, the judge took notice of what he felt was Remy's disregard for the victim after the shooting, stating that she went through the victim's purse, searched for the alleged stolen money, while Barnes-Joseph sat in the car seriously wounded from the gunshot. No money was found. Then it was said that Remy Ma then exited the vehicle, hopped into a waiting car, and drove off, with the victim left behind bleeding. While locked up, Remy was supposed to be married to her fiancé, the rapper Papoose, in 2008, but the wedding was canceled after police caught Papoose trying to smuggle a skeleton key into her prison and banned him from visiting Remy Ma for 6 months. Remy Ma and Papoose ended up getting married in February of 2016. Eventually, Remy was released from prison after serving 6 years, and she quickly began rebuilding her life. She lost so much time with her son that he was 7 years old when she was first incarcerated and was now 14 when she was released. February 17, 2017 was the date that Fat Joe and Remy Ma released their joint album, Plata o Plomo, that featured their massive platinum single All the Way Up. On August 20th, 2017, Remy Ma opened a women's clothing store called Conceited in Raleigh, North Carolina. The following year, in October 2018, she launched a new clothing line with proceeds going to the Remy Ma Foundation that she established for women and their families who have been hurt by incarceration. Remy Ma was one of the cases that was able to bounce back and gain a level of popularity, but who knows how big she would have been had she been able to continue the momentum after her debut album. Lauryn Hill accomplished more with 2 albums than most rappers can ever dream of in their entire career. First, there was the second album that her group The Fugees with Wyclef Jean and Pras released in 1996 called The Score. It sold over 7 million copies in the US alone, won the Grammy Award for Best Rap Album, and had 3 singles that all surpassed the platinum status mark: Fuji La, Killing Me Softly, and Ready or Not. Then 2 years later, Lauryn Hill was even more successful with her debut solo album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which earned a diamond plaque for selling over 10 million units. After receiving 10 Grammy Award nominations for her solo album, Lauryn Hill became the first woman to ever achieve this honor in the same year. But even being a widely respected rapper known for her spiritual and conscious lyrics, she still became a casualty of the prison system. In 2012, the IRS claimed that Lauryn Hill had failed to pay taxes on close to $1.8 million in earnings between the years 2005 through 2007. In her defense, Lauryn Hill cited her responsibilities as a mother for her failure to pay the taxes and called out the government, stating, "I'm a child of former slaves who had a system imposed on them. I had an economic system imposed on me." Lauryn Hill asked for leniency on the grounds of her charity work and her difficult estrangement from the music industry, but her stance didn't hold up in court, and the state of New Jersey sentenced Lauryn Hill to 3 months in prison, which she served in 2013. Lauryn Hill's potential 1-year sentence was cut down to 3 months after she paid $970,000 in unpaid taxes. In the decades since her prison sentence, her music output has still been very slim, with no albums released and continual complaints of her being extremely late for her scheduled concert performances. So we can say that it didn't really affect her career much. Foxy Brown is the only female rapper to be able to claim that her breakthrough in the industry came about by being on a Jay-Z album and a Nas album in the same year that her debut album was released. She was even in a group with Nas called The Firm a year later in '97, making it seem like her life as a rapper was smooth sailing. But Foxy Brown seemed to attract trouble before, during, and after she was sentenced to serve prison time. In 1997, while still a teenager, Foxy received a 30-day suspended sentence and 80 hours of community service for assault after spitting on 2 hotel workers in Raleigh, North Carolina, all because they told her they didn't have an available iron. In 2000, Foxy was arrested for driving with a suspended license after crashing a Range Rover, and she checked into a rehab center at age 20 for addiction to painkillers. In 2001, a shooting outside of New York City radio station Hot 97 popped off because of Foxy's long-running feud with Lil Kim, and Foxy was also arrested in Jamaica for an altercation with a policewoman at the airport there. Apparently, Foxy Brown never appeared for a court appearance, so it wasn't clear whether the incident was ever resolved. In 2004, Foxy Brown was charged for attacking 2 manicurists in New York City after refusing to pay a $20 tab. After refusing a plea bargain, she was sentenced to 3 years probation and anger management classes. In 2005, rapper Jackie O claimed that she and Foxy got into a verbal and physical conflict in a recording studio in Miami. Then, while in court for the manicurist assault for 2004, Foxy Brown was handcuffed to the bench after she stuck her tongue out at the judge and hit the court officer who was fastening the handcuffs. Foxy almost didn't apologize for her actions until she was threatened with 30 days in jail for contempt. Whether she would admit it or not, Foxy Brown probably regretted not paying that $20 manicure bill that led to her assaulting those 2 manicurists, because on September 7, 2007, New York City Criminal Court Judge Melissa Jackson sentenced Brown to 1 year in prison for violating her probation when she engaged in that fight. On October 23, 2007, while she was incarcerated, Foxy Brown was given 76 days in solitary confinement after a physical altercation on October 3rd with another prisoner. According to the prison authorities, the next day after that incident, Foxy Brown was also verbally abusive towards correction officers and would not take a random drug test. Foxy Brown remained in prison until April 18, 2008. Unfortunately, Foxy's legal problems were to continue even after her prison sentence. On July 22, 2010, she was arrested and charged with 1 count of criminal contempt for violating an order of protection from an incident on July 21, 2010, when it was said that she swore at and dropped her underwear and mooned her neighbor, Arlene Raymond. Back in 2007, Foxy threw her BlackBerry cell phone at the exact same neighbor, who then got approved for a restraining order against her. Foxy Brown appeared in court and pled not guilty to the charge and was released on a $5,000 bail. If she had been convicted, she was looking at going up to 7 years in prison. But on July 12, 2011, the charges against Foxy Brown were dropped. After being discovered by her close friend, iconic Brooklyn legend, the notorious B.I.G., Lil Kim would go on to become one of her city's most memorable and one of the genre's most memorable rappers ever. The Grammy-winning hip-hop artist is one of the few ladies in rap to have 3 platinum albums. In the 90s and 2000s, Lil Kim was known for her strong attitude and sex appeal, not to mention her strings of hits that kept on coming, such as No Time with Puff Daddy, Crush on You with B.I.G., Not Tonight featuring the Brat, Lady Marmalade, The Jump Off, Magic Stick, and Lighters Up. Unfortunately, as Lil Kim's star began to rise, street beef pulled her out of the spotlight and into a prison cell. The drama all started on February 25, 2001, when Lil Kim and her entourage were caught up in a shootout outside the Hot 97 radio station in Manhattan, sparked by a feud that had already been growing between Lil Kim's crew and rap group Capone and Noriega, who had released a song featuring Foxy Brown, who was taking shots at Lil Kim. Not only did violence erupt when the two crews crossed paths, but over 20 gunshots from both sides were fired from 5 different guns. No one was fatally injured, but there was an individual who did experience minor wounds. This wild shootout put Lil Kim in the middle of a legal battle that dragged on for years, with the ultimate result being that she had lied to the federal grand jury, with her intention being to protect her friends Damian Butler and Gutta, who were involved in the altercation with Capone and Nori's team. Lil Kim testified that she did not see Butler or Jackson at the scene of the crime in order to protect them from criminal charges, but this was perjury, and security camera footage proved that they were indeed present at the scene of the crime. Lil Kim's false testimony led to her being charged with perjury and conspiracy for lying under oath. Then in March 2005, just over 4 years after the shootout at Hot 97, Lil Kim was indicted by a federal grand jury and pleaded guilty to lying during her testimony. She was facing a maximum of 20 years in prison. Before Lil Kim was sentenced in July 2005, she asked the court for leniency because of her life's work as an influential young black entertainer who overcame many obstacles in order to build her career. Lil Kim also expressed remorse for lying under oath while still making it clear how important it was for her to remain loyal to her friends. But Lil Kim was still sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison, which is significantly lower than the amount she was facing. And she was sent to the Federal Detention Center in Philadelphia, followed by 3 years of supervised release and a $50,000 fine. Her friends Butler and Jackson would later plead guilty to gun charges for their involvement in the shootout. Lil Kim has said that while in prison she received genuine love and also a lot of support from high-profile celebrities like Oprah Winfrey, who sent Kim her favorite books to motivate her, and even wrote her a letter in each book, letting Lil Kim know how much potential she had. Lil Kim was facing a potential sentence of 20 years, but it was drastically reduced because the judge not only appreciated that Lil Kim had accepted full responsibility for her actions, but the judge was also probably concerned about the backlash that would occur if he would put a young entertainer in prison longer than the older white entertainer Martha Stewart, who was previously sentenced for conspiring with her stockbroker to obstruct justice and make false statements to the Amclone insider trading investigation. Rapper and also radio personality Brat has dealt with a mix of high highs and low lows in a career that got off the ground in 1994 with her very first album, Functified, as one of the early artists signed to Jermaine Dupri's So So Def record label. Brat also went on to become the very first female rapper to go platinum. But those incredible highs would soon drop back down to earth in 2000 when she faced legal charges after she reportedly beat a woman with a gun during a dispute over VIP seating at a nightclub in Georgia. After this incident, Brat managed to avoid a jail sentence this time around by pleading reckless conduct, and she was able to perform 80 hours of community service, serve a year's probation, and pay a $1,000 fine instead of being locked up behind bars. But this wouldn't end up being Brat's last brush with violence. Unfortunately, in August of 2008, Brat was given a sentence of 3 years behind bars, 7 years of probation, and 200 hours of community service after she pled guilty to aggravated assault stemming from another incident in another Georgia nightclub situation. The conflict started brewing after Brat got involved in a heated argument with a nightclub waitress and ended with Brat smashing her in the face with a rum bottle, causing permanent scarring in the process. As far as what Brat learned from her time in prison, she stated, "Not to take anything for granted, because it's the little things that mean the most. The letters, the food. I had no idea I wouldn't see a shrimp for 3 years. You don't look at those little things you take for granted so easily until you get sat down, get locked up, or get into a position where you see other people who are less fortunate than you, that don't have anybody." It seems to be the case that the wild and aggressive side of Brat's evolution has taken a rest and she's eased into the joy of married life with Jessica Judy Dupart and her career as a radio co-host on Ricky Smiley Morning Show in Atlanta. While many male rappers are afforded the privilege of having the potential to come back after they were locked up and get huge welcomes, huge rollouts, huge signings, some even becoming bigger in the process like Meek Mill, that hasn't been the same for the female rappers that we cover today. It could be a culmination of many different factors, one being that they got locked up when their career wasn't so hot, Remy Ma being a good example of someone that was able to come back, but a lot of them don't have the home welcoming that male rappers get. If they were locked up, they come back and they slowly have to heat up again. And the reason for that, I'm not entirely sure. Let me know in the comments why you think that is. Make sure to subscribe for more.